Good morning, gentlemen, and good morning, parishioners of St. John's. Once again, I'm Peter Floyd. I'm the rector here, and I'm joined by John Horn, our senior warden, and David Dwyer, who is working with our property committee. And we are just recording the second part of a video series on the state of the church. Particular topic for this video is, of course, everything that's been going on with our building, especially while we have been gone. As you all may know, we have a campaign, the Rejuvenate Campaign, that is still, I suppose, ongoing, collecting money to do a lot of much needed repair and work around our building. And some of that has been going on while we've been absent. And we want to just sort of get with David and John, who are both on our property committee, to find out exactly what has been going on. Thought I might just start by giving some people an overview of how all this came to be. One of the questions we got when we sort of posed, what you want us to talk about in these forums is who's on the property committee and how did it come to be? And really, it came to be initially by me having a conversation with our junior warden, Bo Proctor, about the building, and realizing that we needed to do a deep dive assessment. And we actually approached the finance committee about it, and they started some work. And then we quickly realized, we need to have our own special property committee to really deep dive into many of these projects. And so David was dealing with the windows at the time, and then we basically suckered him into taking this on. So David, thank you for all of that you have done since this thing has been going. And I'm just going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about how this property committee came to be, who's on it, and that sort of thing.
Great. Thanks very much, Peter. I'd like to start by first saying thank you to you and to John for your leadership and support of all the work that the property committee is doing. The property committee used to be known for many years as the Building and Grounds Committee, but we renamed it when we restarted the committee back in January of this year. And the purpose of the committee is really to support Jeff Cummins, our building manager, with all of the projects that he is working on. And that has grown, obviously, into support of the Rejuvenate Campaign and some of the monies that we've been able to raise in that regard. So let me start by first introducing everyone to the building or the property committee. It consists of Jeff Cummins, Shelley Bonin, Jenny Taylor, Jillian Booth, Jeff Longstaff, Rick Wellner, and then certainly additional contributors are Dan Robertson, John, yourself, Bo Proctor as junior warden, and Peter with your leadership. Special thanks, shout out to both Don Lassiter and Sandy Fussell for the contributions they've made to the committee over this past year. Really appreciate their leadership and their contributions. What are we working on? What's big in our pipeline right now? There's a number of things that are going on. First off, we developed a process and a foundation using the church's technology platform. So we have a property folder on what is called OneDrive. And that's simply a technology platform where we are storing anything and everything about any work the property committee is doing, so that in years to come, you're able to go back, see what was done, who worked on it, etc., as things move ahead. We've also developed a tool that will become available to parishioners when we all return to the building, that will help you report back to us, things that you see in and around the building that maybe need our attention. Us together collectively are the best ears and eyes, for Jeff and our committee to help us with, any areas that need to be addressed. We have completed the rebuild of the Hines sculpture, which sits in our columbarium area. It had fallen into some disrepair, and we have had that completely rebuilt and is now really a very lovely statue in the columbarium. It's being well maintained and well cared for. So thank you to Peter and others, for the funding of that and getting that rebuilt. So it really does look quite pretty. The Memorial Garden continues to be cared for with Shelley Bonin and her team. We are enjoying the benefit of that during our outdoor services. I would encourage anyone that hasn't been to one of those services to take the time to go. It really is quite lovely. So we are doing that. The columbarium area, because of its shade, tree cover, moss and those kind of things are an ever arching enemy. So we try to take care of the brick walkways as best we can. In addition to what the property committee is doing, Bill Proctor has been coordinating efforts to replace our parking lot lighting system. It is not working as well as it should be. We've worked with Pike Engineering, a subcontractor for Duke Energy, and they have presented a proposal that we're looking at carefully, and hope to have some new LED lighting in the parking lot for everyone's safety and ability to move about the property in the evening with some security.
It sounds like LED lighting might save us some money too.
It should. Right now, the proposal that we're reviewing, should cut our costs maybe by at least 25%. Is the intended amount right now. We have a fixed contract, so we're doing everything we can, but it will definitely be lower than it is today.
Wonderful. Well, what are some other projects that have been completed maybe in the last several months that people may not know about?
Sure. First, I mentioned the Heinz sculpture in the columbarium, so that was probably the first one we did. In addition to that, I think everyone had hopefully seen our stained glass windows. That project was completed earlier this year. They look terrific. We just did our quarterly maintenance review of them, and they are functioning as they should. We are not seeing any water leakage anymore. They are well protected. They're staying very clean. So we're very pleased with that effort, and we continue to enjoy all of those windows.
Great news.
Thank you, John. Thank you again for your support and direction on that. We're quite pleased with that.
Some people have asked me about the mold issue that we had last summer, and whether we're experiencing anything like that this year.
The mold issue? Yep. Jeff Cummins has been working very hard with our HVAC contracting supplier, and they actually have put in very recently new control units in all of the systems that are controlling the building. And we saw a reduction this week, actually, with some of the last units being put in, that we're taking the humidity down from, in certain parts of the building, some 80% down to the 51%, which is a significant difference, and should very definitely help us with any problems we've had with mold.
Maybe if I can move on to the Rejuvenate campaign. What activity and actions have been taken since following the windows? Because we know that was the first project of the campaign. What's next?
Well, John, thank you very much for asking that leading question. Do appreciate it. The Rejuvenate campaign and the folks involved in it, we have been extremely busy in that effort. First, what we have done is we went through some of the work that the Finance Committee did early on that Peter mentioned. We began doing a really deeper surveillance of our entire property to figure out where things are, if things were broken, if they needed to be repaired or enhanced, whatever it might be. And we put together a fairly significant list that is an active list. Things will be completed on it, and then new things will be added over time. So the surveillance of the building will be an ongoing effort, and that tool that I mentioned that parishioners will be able to use will help feed that document so that we don't lose sight of things that need to be at least addressed.
Right.
So when we did that, we then realized that obviously we have limited finances and we have limited resources in terms of how many projects could we take on at any given time. So the committee sat down, the property committee sat down, and we identified 7 key projects that we believe need to be addressed during this time. We also realized that at that point, we went to the vestry and asked for their approval to simply go and do further investigation on those 7 projects. Not to contract with anyone, not to spend any money immediately, but simply to find out what the real problem is, make sure we understood the scope, and then to make sure that we had a solution and we understood some of the cost that would be involved, etc. So that we wanted to be able to come back with a solution. We are right in the middle of doing that right now. But I'd be remiss without stopping for a moment and letting everyone know that we had to bring in a number of other parishioners who were willing to serve as project managers for each of these 7 projects. And those folks include Jeff Cummins, Paul Bailey, David Cash, Peter DiGregorio, David Tipple, and Melissa Tidwell. These are parishioners some of you may know. And my personal thanks to each of them for all the work they've done. So where we are today is we have gone through the fact-finding process with each one of these projects, which I'll talk about in a moment. And we've gathered enough information now that we are producing a report back to the finance and to the vestry and to the leadership team with our findings and what our solutions are and some of the projected costs for doing that. We'll look to the vestry and to the finance team to help us prioritize, along with our input, what we feel we can address immediately, etc. We hope to have that report done in the next 30 or delivered in the next 30 days so that we can move forward with some of these projects and be able, obviously, to keep everyone up to date on what's going on. So let me talk about the projects if I can. Some of them are probably a lot more fun than others. Some you will probably never see, but they're critical components to the safety and the operation of our church. It's a huge building. It's a structure that is, in normal times, inhabited and being used many, many hours during a single day. And I think we all can't wait to get back to having that as our problem, if you will. But these are not in any one particular order, but the 7 projects that were identified. Water mitigation into the church. We continue and have for years had a number of problems with water seeping into the building. Part of that comes from the roof and the steeple area, and other parts of it come from simply moving the water away from the building after we've had a rainstorm, etc. So we're simply calling it that a water mitigation and steeple repair project. Lots of interesting parts into that, and if anybody's interested, please reach out to me and I can give you a real deep dive on that one. The bathrooms, the children's bathrooms on the ground floor under the church, so the older part of the building, are in disrepair, and we need to get those back into full service for the preschool when it comes back online. And for the possible expansion of the preschool, we need to have those bathrooms up and running. So we have that project. One that I'm positive you will never see, but you'll enjoy the effects of, is our HVAC system. Peter mentioned it a moment ago. We're doing some upgrades to that system to make sure that it's running at the most efficient status that it can be to keep the building, cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and without a lot of moisture in the air itself. We've looked at security for the building. And this is something that will probably be quite scalable. It goes everywhere from locks, actual physical locks on doors, etc., to security system with camera or additional cameras, those kind of things. So we have a range of solution there. One that I had never really thought much about is ceiling tiles. And it's quite amazing when you are in that church and you look up how many ceiling tiles we actually have in that building. And then you begin to realize that some of the ceiling tiles all don't match.
So different styles.
It's like clothes. They sort of change the holes around on them just to make you have to buy more at some point. It's just
exactly.
So we've had David Cash actually took on that project, and we have some information about that. And again, that'll be one of the projects that we'll present forward to the vestry and to the leadership. We looked carefully at the hot water system. There were some challenges with the children's classrooms having the appropriate amount of hot water and making sure that the hot water is at the right temperature for young children so that they can't be hurt by, hot water that's simply too hot.
Cold in them. Yep.
So we're doing that. And then one I think that everybody's will be extremely happy and interested in is what I commonly refer to as the back stairwell from the ground floor going up to the second floor, which has been a hallway or a stairwell that I think a number of people have commented on over the years. And that is getting a complete refresh. The carpet will be removed and some type of laminate will be put down for the flooring, etc. So that's well underway.
Well, I can tell you that the pictures are off the walls right now. I just walked up that stairwell, and painting will happen soon. Obviously, you're going to paint before you do the floor, because
sure, yeah, absolutely correct. But that's well underway. And then there's a number of other projects that are ongoing. The main hallway into the church has received a new fresh coat of paint using the color scheme that has been agreed upon for any new painting that we do in the church. So there's some coordination of color and effort. And that looks quite lovely. It really is coming along nicely. We're looking at we have some exterior doors that need to be replaced. So we're looking at getting that work done. There are some windows that have developed some moisture in them, and we don't know if it is simply the caulking around them or if the seal on the window itself has failed, but we're deep in the middle of looking into that. And a number of other activities that are out there, but to say the least, we have been very busy. I have been very blessed by having great people that have stepped up and have had a willingness to help with all of this work. And again, leadership from John and Bo and Peter to allow us to get the work done. And again, Jeff Cummins as our building manager has played just an integral part in all of this. So
I'm going to put my parishioner hat on for a moment and just ask you questions that I already know the answer to, but I just thought it would be, I know that people will want to know. So the bathrooms off the Rector's Gallery, I mean, they're lovely. So is anything happening with that, or has that project been scoped?
No, it is actually part of the scope in the one I refer to in the children's bathrooms downstairs. That's the main focus of that project, but we're looking really at all of the bathrooms throughout the building to make sure that some may simply need nothing. Some may need a fresh coat of paint. And then as you've referred to, the Rector's Gallery bathrooms, we have to be very careful in what we do. Some of it is compounded by regulations in terms of a physical building, public building such as our church, has to have a certain number of bathrooms based on the size of the building. The other challenge we have is that depending on the work you do, you can sometimes be forced into bringing your facility into ADA compliance. And we've got to be very careful there because of the limitation for anyone that has been in those bathrooms over the years knows it's a very small space, and we don't want to put ourselves in a tough spot.
Excellent.
Long answer to a simple question. Sorry.
No, that's how these things are. What other questions do we have, John?
No, I'm just thinking in terms of the parishioner, and I think you've actually addressed it. A lot of people have asked, you know, what can I expect when I first come back into St. John's? No, we understand we don't know when that time period will be, but what can I expect when I first come in back into the church? What can I expect to see, David?
From my perspective, yeah, I think what you hopefully will see is, number one, brand new parking lot lights. So if you come in the evening, you know, the parking lot will be much brighter and hopefully more inviting and more secure. I think if you come in through the main entrance, the awning has been refreshed and cleaned. The hallway, the reception area has a complete brand new coat of paint, so that the look and feel is really quite different. We're going to be replacing we hopefully are replacing some of the ceiling tiles up there. So that'll be done. I know that Jeff and his team have been working very hard this summer with the acquisition of some new floor cleaning equipment. I will share with folks that I've been in the church in recent days, and some of the floors look brand new. I mean, I actually asked the question if they had been replaced or not, because they are sparkling. They're absolutely beautiful. So thank you to Jeff and his team for making that happen.
David, on that particular subject, because I was kind of staggered when I found out the difference in time between cleaning the floors the old way compared to the new machine that was recently purchased. What was that time difference? It's staggering.
It was taking Jeff's crew about 3 days to take a double classroom and strip all the old wax off of it, clean it, and then apply up to 6 coats of floor wax. With the new equipment, instead of 2 men working on it, it takes 1 person, and they're able to complete that entire project in about a day and a half. So it's a significant savings, and really the speed of it by which we can get things done, and allowing the other person to be working on other projects, etc. So we're getting quite a bit more done in the same amount of time with the same amount of people. So it's a real benefit.
Well, let me ask this. Some parishioners may want to know if they can help. Is there a way that people can volunteer their time if they want to paint, or if they want to do some other project? Who might they reach out to?
The simple answer to that question is yes. We're always looking for volunteers. And if they want to reach out to me directly, that'd be fine. And we can chat about, you know, what they think they're good at and what we need help with, and see if we can match those 2 things up. And yeah, love to have. There's a lot of things in a building like that that doesn't require specialists or commercial contractors, etc. There's a lot that we can do in that building if we're careful and we do it together with a little bit of sweat equity. We can get a lot done both inside the building and on the property.
Yeah, that's great. What about money? I know that some people, we've had this campaign. Did we raise enough money? Obviously, we don't have estimates for everything yet, or negotiated contracts, but some of that work is sort of bubbling around out there. I think we had raised, by the time, you know, it's over 3 years that people will be paying off some of their pledges, and so the total amount is close to, if not right at, $600,000. How are we stacking up on that?
It's great to hear that number. I know that it has been growing over time. Again, we're just now compiling, at least from the Rejuvenate campaign, what the costs are for each one of those projects. And again, that's the report I hope to have available, or making promise that it'll be available within 30 days to the leadership team, so that we can then begin to prioritize, you know, which ones we do first, which ones we do second, etc. And I really hope that we'll make a mix of projects. There's some infrastructure things that we absolutely have to take care of. Water mitigation, we have to take care of that. But I hope we can also include things in there that we could all enjoy, that we see visible and we just enjoyed it, doors that are in better condition, the painting, the cleaning, the organization of material. We have an entire room right now with files. I think, Peter, the room I'm speaking of. And it also includes literally hundreds of architectural drawings that we're trying to sort through. So if someone just loves to organize, please call me. I would love to have your help in getting through some of that documentation.
And bring your mask, because it's not just COVID you're worried about down there. There's
there's a little bit
other good reasons to wear that. So
a little bit of dust on some of it, I must admit. But yeah, we'd love to have the help.
Excellent.
That, gentlemen, is really what I have for everyone in the parish. Again, you can reach out to me directly to get details on any of the projects that we're working on. If there's something that we haven't mentioned that you believe really needs our attention, please bring it to us. We want to make sure that we don't miss things that need to be worked on. And,
Yeah, and I actually had one parishioner who approached me and said where they would really like to just give some time and energy and money to one particular room they wanted to take on. So you think people might be able to do that if they just really had a passion about one particular area? I would just say, to reach out to David if you fall into that category. David's really the one sort of organizing some of these things, so that could be really helpful.
Yeah, if someone wants to take on a particular area, we'll help. Obviously, we're going to control, paint color selection and things like that. But yeah, I mean, having more arms and eyes working on the building, the better off we are.
Well, let me ask this: you said that there were paint colors that had been picked. Can you tell us what they are? I mean, are they hot pink and neon green, or what are we? What are the colors? I just don't want people,
We did consider them, must admit, but we rejected those colors. They're much more muted in terms of color, and I think you might have a sample.
So there you go. Well, you might be able to see that. The blue is just, ignore the blue, but you can sort of see the main color is this sort of white. The main
beigey white
here. So it's a whitish, creamish, light colors. I think kind of what the parish hall area looks like, but extended through the rest of the building so that the building all matches.
It's a very clean look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very clean look.
Yeah. Not picked by me. Just want you to know that. I don't pick paint colors. They teach you that in seminary. So.
David, I have one further question for you. When you first introduced your committee, you had a special thank you to Sandy and to Don.
I did.
And that tells me that those two members of your committee have stepped aside, right?
They have.
But therefore, that tells me that you have 2 vacant spots on your committee. So maybe this media is an opportunity to just to reach out to our parishioners, and anyone that's interested in joining you and your committee should also reach out to you to become committee members.
Thank you, John, for the public service announcement. Very definitely I would be very interested in talking with anyone that does have an interest. I will say up front that there'll be an expectation to be an active member on the committee, because again, it's a large facility, both as in the building and then on the property itself. So there's lots of activity, and we need folks that are willing to spend some real time and effort on the committee. But yes, please give me a call, and we're glad to talk.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, I think that's it, unless you all have anything else.
No, I really want to close and just I want to thank all the people that have been involved, both on the committee, on the Rejuvenate project managers, John, to you, Peter, to you, Bo, to all of your leadership in getting this done. I think we're all excited about getting back into the church, but we want to make sure that when we come back, we've got a safe and secure and inviting home to come back to.
Absolutely. Let me also just thank anybody who contributed to the Rejuvenate campaign or is working on their pledge for that. I know these are challenging times, and just want to thank them for giving to the church. I mean, it really is making a difference to be able to use this time when the building is vacant to do a lot of good work that would otherwise be in our way. So what a blessing in a sense to be able to make the most we can during this time to do some of these things. And just want to thank those people who've given to it.
Absolutely. And David, thank you to you for your leadership with this Property and Grounds Committee.
Absolutely. Absolutely, David.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
More to come.
Well, thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions as a parishioner and you're listening to this, just feel free to reach out to any of us and we'll be happy to answer your questions. I think that is it. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Goodbye for now.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.